Japan's Tokyo is emerging as a sex hub. Okay, Tokyo, which is witnessing an influx of foreigners, a rise in poverty, and a weakening of the Japanese yen, is emerging as a sex hub. Experts say that many young women left impoverished during the COVID-19 pandemic are turning to the flesh trade to meet ends meet, which is resulting in a troubling spike in violence. That's horrible to hear. An Asian city is emerging as a hub for sex tourism, and it might not be the one you imagine. According to several media reports, Japan's Tokyo is witnessing an influx of foreigners in search of a good time. This as poverty increases and the Japanese yen weakens. Okay, so let's see. So it says here, but what do we know and why is this happening? Let's take a closer look. Okay, what do we know? According to SCMP, in the days when Japan was an economic powerhouse, its men will flock aboard. I think we mentioned that before. Japanese men going to Vietnam, right, and other countries to get the free card. Flush with cash, they would be seeking, accountants with women from poorer nations. Now the tables have turned. So it says here, Japan has become a poor country, according to Yoshide Tanaka, Secretary General of the Liaison Council Protecting Youths, etc., etc. This as a nearby park fills with young women waiting for customers even before the sun goes down. Tanaka told the Star he first noticed how more and more foreigners were visiting the park after the removal of the COVID-19 restrictions. We are seeing a lot more foreign men, he said. They come from many countries. They are white, Asian, black. Oh no, black? But the majority are Chinese. Okay, whoa. Tanaka told SCMP a number of women in their 20s are getting into SEX work. Wow. So what's happening? Okay. Experts say there's several reasons. Number one, according to Daily Guardian, this is down to an influx of tourists, a rise in poverty, and a weakening of the yen. The paper said that the COVID-19 pandemic has been a major cause of women going into the flesh trade. Okay, many are seeking to pay off debts or expenses incurred at host clubs. Interesting here. Okay, so Theo, Japan has been. So there's one over here. It says here. Okay, one of my friends was attacked by a Chinese man on the street a few weeks ago. She said they were talking about the price, and he suddenly got angry and he hit and kicked her. She hit her head on something and had a bad injury. It happens quite often. Whoa! So Tokyo, Japan, brother, is emerging as a major sex hub in Asia. Theo, what's your thoughts about that, bro?
I wouldn't believe this at all, especially coming from a Western media. The amount of foreigners who are going to Japan is actually rather low, and compared to like you could New York, Pattaya, London, Paris. I mean, just the amount of foreigners there is going to be very low. Foreigners being able to buy box to Japanese women, when I was there, it was unheard of. So I would really want to know what's going on. If Chinese, it actually makes sense. Usually, if foreigners want to buy box in Japan, they buy it from other foreigners, and so there's a system in there to bring in a fresh supply of non-Japanese girls into, particularly Tokyo. They have a 3-month visa, and then they're just rotated through. There's a lot of jokes about this in Tokyo, actually, about it. Foreigners being able to buy from Japanese women, I don't think this is happening. If it is, I'd be very surprised that this is going on. If anything, if Japanese women are selling it, they're selling it to Japanese men. That would make sense. So that's always been going on. That's from time for centuries. So I would look at it from not from a Western point of view, but from an English point of view. And again, someone is saying, seeing videos of so-called streetwalkers. Yeah, you can see the streetwalkers. They're for Japanese men. Usually, if they're Japanese streetwalkers, they're for Japanese customers. If they're foreign streetwalkers, they're for anybody. That's the way it works. Yeah. So you get these influx of foreigners coming in. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Because you can't. Usually, the crime syndicates are very much in control of the streets. So I'm looking at this like, well, how is this really going to go down? I see this going down.
Facts. You know, and obviously, brothers, my Japan stream is coming very soon. If you want it quicker, get me to right 100 followers on Kick, and we'll do Spain, we'll do Germany, and we'll do the Japan streams on those platforms. All right, get me to 100 followers on Kick. I want to do those streams where y'all got support. Okay, get me to followers on Twitch and Kick. 100 followers each. Okay, now I will discuss this in my stream coming in the future. When I was there in Japan, right, I saw a lot of women just standing there in the streets, holding signs, looking at me, trying to draw men in. I'm like, yo, what's going on here? It was a lot more worse than when I went there last year. Okay, and those women were streetwalkers. And you know, aside from that, right, like the SES culture in Japan is insane, particularly in Tokyo, and I'm going to speak about that in my stream. And you boys, right, need to vet very, very well when you're in Japan. Like I mentioned, right, a lot of these women will dress conservatively, cover their arms, cover their legs, but they're hiding body counts of 50s, 100, 20, 30, okay? And it's a very weird society, man. And you don't want to pick the wrong woman because they're very good at hiding their body counts. They're very, very good, you know? So I'm not saying that, you know, Japanese women, you know, are not good. They're still better than Western women, right? But you need to know where to go to Japan, how to vet, learn the language, because, you know, a lot of these women some of them are in that trade, and you would never know. You would never know this done in the past. You know, and I remember it kind of shocked me when, should I talk about it now or wait for the stream? I think I'll wait for the stream, okay? But yeah, it's a shame that it's happening, but I definitely could see there's a lot of sex going on in Tokyo, a lot. So watch yourselves, man. It's changing. I think it's changing really. Come on, bro.
Well, no, it's not like Pattaya or Bangkok. That's a real market. Like they're just sitting, like literally, you get rows of them. What the question is okay, so if you're in Kabukicho, this is where the main area is for it. Well, remember, it's only one area. Okay, so it's like you didn't see anything like that in Shibuya, right?
I saw it in Shibuya, bro. It was in Shibuya. Yeah. Harajuku, Akihabara, woman just standing there in the streets.
Okay, this is new then. This is very new. Because when I was there, it really was only Kabukicho that was actually having anything. And what you had to do was, like, if you were walking through that area, people would come out and talk to, okay, hold on, let me make this. All right. So the hostess girls, Japanese women hostess girls always stand outside of their hostess bars and try to attract customers. That's been there for hundreds of years. That kind of transaction is only for Japanese men. If it looks like they're standing in front of a bar, just understand they're hostesses, and they can be very skimpily classed. They can be very skimpy out there, but that's just the way it is. But they're not doing anything. They're just drinking. You're just being your hostess girl. In Kabukicho, you didn't know what you're going to get into. You didn't know what flavor was going to be there, what nationality. The number one Asian girl who was actually out there as a worker were Chinese girls. There were quite a number of them there. So if you're going to buy services from anyone, it's probably going to be a Chinese girl. I thought that was unfortunate, but just the way it was. So I want to go back there and see it with my own eyes to see what's really going on there. Because none of my Western friends are saying like, oh yeah, like in Ebisu or Shibuya, Japanese girls are outside selling box. They're just not saying that. I'm not seeing that. So, hold on. Somebody's saying, are Japanese streetwalkers rejecting black men? You're not, Ozzy, you're not getting the point. Japanese women are only there for Japanese men. That's the rule. So I want to go back and see what is the real update, because I don't believe it. Because when I was there, straight out, I mean, you can't even get to a hostess bar with Japanese girls if you're a foreigner. Doesn't matter what race you are, you're a foreigner. You can't get into a hostess bar with Japanese girls. It does not work. And then if you want to pay for bucks, you can only pay for non-Japanese women. It doesn't matter what race you are. You're not Japanese. You can't do that. That's the way the systems work.
Yeah.
Times are changing. Ozzy, times are changing. No, they're what? You think they speak Chinese now or something? No, they've been this way since like for the last 300, 400, 500 years. They're not changing. For heaven's sakes. I have to go there and see this again. I got to see what's going on.
Yeah, if you're obviously I enjoyed my trip out there, but there were some things I didn't like what was going on there. Particularly in Tokyo. I'm kind of just like, do we arrive Tokyo completely? Because I feel like it's just becoming a bit too Western, a bit too Americanized.
But do you understand what's really there? Do you understand what's really going on? Well, they have a population decline in Tokyo, so you really can't see they're getting their freak on with a population decline, right? I would say I want to go there and talk and actually see what's going on. I can read the signs. I can go and say, oh, this is what's really going on. What's really happening. But if there were Japanese girls selling bucks on the street, I would assume that there would be, what can I say, a local syndicate enforcer walking down the street. And that guy would actually be directing traffic, if you know what I mean. So that's why I wouldn't even go. I wouldn't even walk down that street, even if it's going to McDonald's. Because I'd be too worried about the enforcer. I saw your stream when you were in Kabukicho. Like I saw the first level, and there's a McDonald's right there. There's also what is a First Kitchen is there. I remember eating there. That's some good hamburgers. It's like it was pretty good there, right? So I remember what was on that street. There was a bunch of strange down there. I didn't want to walk down there at night. It was weird. That's where they get some, I don't know, things I don't want to talk about. That's just the way it was. It says, what about the Nigerian bouncers? Nigerian bouncers were in Roppongi. You don't have Nigerians controlling areas in Japanese, and that's what the street syndicates are for. Nigerians aren't there controlling any street like that. No, man. They're there. If Nigerian bouncers would be there to help promote a bar or something like that, they're not. That's about it. They don't have any power.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely track Japan a little more closely because things are changing there from what I saw, and it's for the good and for the worse as well. But we'll see. But it's a shame this is happening in Tokyo, Japan. It's a big shame.